626 BC. The city of Babylon. Nabopolassar took the throne. He was the man who liberated Babylonia from the grip of the Assyrian Empire, a force that had dominated Mesopotamia for centuries. In his hands rested a scepter. Its weight was not merely the symbol of power. It was the weight of responsibility, the burden of a civilization's heir. The Neo-Babylonian Empire. Inheriting the legacy of Babylon, which had once seized dominion over Mesopotamia in the age of Hammurabi, a new dynasty was born. And it began here. But the true trials of the new kingdom had not yet begun. 612 BC. Nabopolassar forged an alliance with the Median kingdom and marched on Nineveh. Ancient records suggest that floods may have played a role in breaching the city's defenses. Yet the details of its fall remain contested. Most accounts point to a prolonged siege by the Allied forces before Nineveh finally crumbled. The empire that had once ruled the world through fear had fallen at last. Even after Nineveh's fall, Assyrian remnants fought on, but by around 609 BC, their core strongholds were lost, and at the Battle of Carchemish in 605 BC, their power was extinguished completely. And Babylon became the center of the world. But the man who would ignite that glory to its fullest brilliance was Nabopolassar's son. 605 BC, Nebuchadnezzar II. When you hear that name, what kind of man do you imagine? According to the records, he received news of his father's death while on campaign in Egypt. He led his army back to Babylon without delay and seized the throne immediately. His reign stretched from 605 BC to 562 BC, some 43 years. What he accomplished in that time was far more than conquest. He built civilization itself to its very peak with his own hands. Nebuchadnezzar's first decision was to transform the city. Not merely a capital, he would make Babylon the center of the world. Vision in his eyes was absolute. The building inscriptions of Nebuchadnezzar II, cuneiform records documenting the king's architectural campaigns, overflow with declarations of Babylon's magnificence. Projects began one after another. The Ishtar Gate, the great entrance to Babylon. Cloaked in brilliant blue glazed tiles that evoked the luster of lapis lazuli, it stood as one of the most beautiful structures the ancient world had ever seen. Dragons and bulls, rendered in gold against a field of blue. The reconstructed gate is believed to have soared more than 10 meters in height. Every soul who passed beneath it would have caught their breath. Envoys from enemy nations. Those brought in chains as captives. With a single glance, they understood the power and the beauty of Babylon. This was no mere city gate. It was a declaration Nebuchadnezzar sent out to the world. This, it proclaimed, is the center of the world. Etemenanki. The name means house of the foundation of heaven and earth. Nebuchadnezzar rebuilt and expanded this ziggurat, a towering stepped temple reaching toward the sky. According to the Esagila tablet, a design document from that era, its height is believed to have reached approximately 91 meters. When the Jewish people were later brought to Babylon, they looked upon this tower in awe. It is widely believed that ziggurats like Etemenanki lie behind the story of the Tower of Babel in the Old Testament, though the story's origins involve multiple threads, and no definitive conclusion can be drawn. The ambition of humanity reaching for the heavens. Its symbol rose over Babylon. But Nebuchadnezzar's greatest architectural project had not yet begun. What set that project in motion was not ambition. It was love. According to later Greek sources, Nebuchadnezzar took a queen from Media, said by some to have been named Amytis. The marriage was political in nature. A union forged to bind the alliance between Babylonia and Media, two great powers of the ancient world. The details of her name and origins are difficult to verify from cuneiform records, and much of what we know rests on later tradition. Yet the story that tradition tells has something in it that moves the human heart. Nebuchadnezzar loved her deeply, and every night she dreamed. She dreamed of home. Media, the mountain ranges of what is now Iran. That was the land where she had been born and raised. Lush, rolling hills. Cold, clear streams. Slopes blanketed in flowers. But Babylon had no mountains. As far as the eye could see, only flat, open plain. Every day, she must have gazed at that dry horizon and felt a quiet ache within her chest. One day, Nebuchadnezzar noticed. A shadow had fallen over the queen's face. "What grieves you?" he may have asked. Her answer was simple. "I miss the mountains. I miss the green." In that moment, something stirred deep within Nebuchadnezzar. She missed the mountains. No king of Babylonia could move a mountain, but he had craftsmen. He had architects, and he had a will without limit. "Then I will build a mountain." That was his decision. A mountain on flat ground, green, rising from the desert. Later, Greek writers tell us he began this project as a gift for his queen. Though no direct mention of the gardens survives in contemporary Babylonian records, and debate over their builder and location continues to this day. Yet the fact that this legend has been told and retold for over 500 years, that alone speaks to something. The construction was no ordinary challenge. First came the structural problem. The garden could not rest on level ground. It had to rise high above. Stone terraces, stepped and strong enough to bear the weight of trees and flowers, would have to be built. Then came the problem of water. Plants need water to survive. But the groundwater of Babylon ran deep, and rainfall was scarce. The solution was an irrigation system. Water drawn up from the Euphrates River carried all the way to the highest tier. Records tell us that workers took turns operating shadufs, counterweighted water-lifting devices, in continuous rotation. A spiral mechanism for raising water is also said to have been used, though the precise technology of the time remains a matter of debate. To keep the mountain green in the heart of a desert city, hundreds of men poured their sweat into it every single day. And then, the gardens were complete. According to tradition, the sight was overwhelming. Terrace upon terrace, rising in layers. Each one thick with rich soil, planted with trees and flowers. Willows, date palms, roses, grapevines, and the flowers that bloomed in the mountains of her home, they were there too. Water cascaded from the summit, weaving clear streams through the green. In the middle of the Babylonian plain, a mountain stood. Nebuchadnezzar brought his queen before it. What expression crossed her face? No record tells us. But it is not hard to imagine. The mountains of her homeland. Her husband had built them with his own hands. When Hellenistic Greek writers later recorded these gardens, they reached for the words, 7 wonders of the ancient world. Strabo, Diodorus. They set down the gardens, magnificence in writing. But here, a crucial question must be asked. Were these gardens truly in Babylon? Recent scholarship has raised a compelling theory. Since excavations at Babylon have yielded no trace of the gardens, perhaps what later peoples called the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were actually built in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, and the two were confused across the centuries. Who built the Hanging Gardens and where? That question itself stands as one of the greatest mysteries of the modern age. Yet Nebuchadnezzar's reign had another side entirely. 597 BC and again in 586 BC. He marched on Jerusalem twice. He destroyed the Temple of Solomon, the most sacred place in all the world to the Jewish people. And the people of Judah were taken in stages to Babylon, the Babylonian captivity. This event left a wound that cut deep into the history of Judaism. Yet at the same time, it forged the Jewish faith into something unbreakable. Torn from Jerusalem, they turned their full strength to compiling their sacred texts. Much of the Old Testament is said to have taken its final form during this very period of captivity. In ways the conqueror never intended, the course of world history shifted. The Jewish people brought to Babylon looked upon that enormous tower, a stepped temple, reaching toward the heavens. To their eyes, it may have stood as a symbol of human arrogance. Against the backdrop of ziggurats like Etemenanki, the Tower of Babel story in the Old Testament very likely took shape, a story born from the collision of two civilizations. And it is still told to us today. 562 BC. Nebuchadnezzar II was gone, at the end of a reign that had lasted 43 years. What he left behind in Babylon: the Ishtar Gate, Etemenanki, and the garden that became legend. Whether rooted in truth or the romance passed down by later generations, one thing is certain. This story did not fade. Not for over 500 years. He is remembered as a great conqueror and the builder of an empire, and at the same time, as a man who dared the impossible for the one he loved. But every empire, in time, reaches its end. 539 BC. Cyrus the Great of Persia was closing in on Babylon. Large-scale destruction within the city itself appears to have been limited, though fighting did occur in the surrounding region in the course of the campaign. 23 years had passed since Nebuchadnezzar's death. The empire's successors had fallen one by one, and the state had grown weak. The legend of the Hanging Gardens endured. The Ishtar Gate endured. But the Babylonian Empire was gone. 87 years. Babylon had fallen. Yet what Babylon left behind did not vanish. The experience the Jewish people carried out of Babylon lived on within the pages of the Bible. The story of the Tower of Babel is still told today. The Hanging Gardens were recorded by later Greek writers and named among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Even now, research into their exact location and structure continues, and whether the Babylon theory or the Nineveh theory is correct remains unknown. The reconstructed Ishtar Gate is held in the collections of the Berlin State Museums, though exhibition conditions may change due to renovations and other factors. Please check the latest official information before visiting. What one civilization left behind lives on, undying, within the memory of all humanity. So, what can we take from this story? Nebuchadnezzar II built one of the greatest empires the ancient world had ever seen. But what history has chosen to remember, it was not his conquests. It was that he dared to build a mountain for the one he loved, in a land where no mountain stood. Whether that legend is truth, we still cannot say. Yet it has been told and retold for over 500 years, and that itself already tells us something. The powerful can acquire many things. But to notice the quiet pain in someone's heart, and to give everything you have in answer to it, that requires a different kind of strength entirely. And so, I put this to you. History speaks only of outcomes. But legend holds a power that fact alone cannot explain. Whether the Hanging Gardens truly stood in Babylon, in Nineveh, or in something else entirely, scholars are still searching for the answer. But what do you think? Even without confirmation as historical fact, does a story told for 500 years carry within it something essential, something true at its core? And is there someone in your life right now who is longing for their mountains? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thank you for witnessing this moment in history with me, all the way to the end. This channel follows the stories of the people who moved history from ancient civilizations like Babylonia to the wars of the modern age. Join me on a journey deep into the human soul, the kind of history you'll never find in a textbook. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next. See you in the next one.